Hi everyone, Stepan here. I'm going to go over my round 2 game from Bad Worishofen. The game just finished and I think the round is still going on. I'm not sure. I got paired against a 1945 player. So the pairings were wrong for the first round. Thank you, Carl, for pointing that out. I got paired with my national rating instead of with my ELO rating, but that's irrelevant now. Okay, so if you want to see my prep for this game, I've recorded a video of my preparation. It will be on Patreon now. And I can just say that my opponent played something I did not expect. So, I knew that he plays the Sicilian with knight c6, which is fine. And I spent a lot of time today trying to decide whether I want to go for the open, in which case he would have played the Sveshnikov or the Rossolimo Sicilian. I ended up deciding to go for the Rossolimo. And I looked at a million lines and went really in depth after g6. Bishop takes c6, b takes c6, and I expected him to play this because he played something similar in a previous game. He played d takes c6, and now I didn't prepare for this, I didn't expect it, but I've played one game before as white against a 2050 rated opponent, and I won in Novi Sad last summer, so I had some experience with this. So d3, bishop g7, h3 is the main line, you have to stop bishop g4, and he now played e5, which is a slightly weird move. Now I can go bishop e3 and he plays b6, or I can go knight c3. I just like to point out that this is by far the most important game I've ever played psychologically. You're going to see why. You will see. So here he played h6, which surprised me. The normal plan for white is bishop e3, b6, queen to d2. So I played bishop e3, b6, but I was afraid to go queen to d2, and I didn't play it because of f5. And now I wasn't sure whether e takes f5, g takes f5 is good for me. I don't want to castle kingside, he's threatening to win my bishop, I need to do something, and I don't have f4. Usually if they go f5 and you take, you follow that up, if they take back, you follow that up with f4 to stop any further expansion. So I wanted to play a waiting move. I didn't know this variation with h6, and in the live book this has been played 10 times. Queen d2 has been played 4 times, castles has been played, a3 has been played, which I don't understand, and a4. I played a4, which isn't really a waiting move because there's a forced response. He has to go a5, otherwise I don't know, if he plays knight e7, I go a5, and the position becomes very unpleasant for him. So a5 is forced, and once again I didn't get a move from him. He didn't do anything yet. So the problem for me here is I don't want to go queen d2 because he can go f5. I don't want to castle because he can go f5 and castle queenside. So I didn't really know what to do. So I ended up playing knight to d2, which is often played in the Rossolimo when they take with the d pawn, but not before you've castled, and I wasn't sure if this was any good. He played bishop e6, which is another flexible move, doesn't really do anything, and that's a move he's going to play anyway. So here on move 10, I spent 45 minutes on my next 2 moves. The game is again a game in 100 minutes for the first 40 moves, and then 30 minutes after move 40, and 30-second increment per move. So I was already down half my time on move 11 and on move 12, and we were barely out of theory. So here I wanted a flexible move, and I didn't know what was more flexible than queen to e2. This I thought couldn't be a bad move. I wasn't sure. I was sure that it wasn't the best move, but as I said, I didn't know what to do. And now again, he plays knight e7, a move he wants to play. And here I spent, I think, 30 minutes. So, okay, so my quadrilemma was castles, b3, f4, knight c4. So let's go over them one by one. If I castle, I was extremely afraid of f5, but after ef5 I was expecting gf5. I have to go f4, and now something like queen c7 and him following up with queenside castling, something like fe5, bishop e5, rook e1 to double attack the pieces. I couldn't see all of this clearly in my head. It's much easier when I move the pieces, but I wasn't happy with the g-file open. The second option of going b3 is constantly scary because of f5, and if I take, of course, he can play e5. So here if I'd played b3, I would have continued with f3, and after f4, bishop f2. And my idea is now to just castle queenside, and he isn't really breaking through to my king. It can be scary, but not the immediate b5 probably. But I was afraid that he could prepare that. Then also, if I go knight c4, bishop c4, dc4 is not the move you want to play ideally. He could just castle here, and I would have to play bishop d2, which is weird, but I want to castle queenside, so queen c7 castles queenside. And now I'm solid, but again, I'm looking at b5, which can rook b8, b5, and he can even give up a piece or just force through this pawn, and it could be scary. So I wasn't sure what this position was like. And I ended up playing the move f4, which I wasn't happy about. But this is, I thought, the best move to wait for him to castle. If he castles, all my troubles are gone. So he took, of course, there's nothing better. Yeah, another move I was contemplating for a long time was g4 to stop f5. But after h5, g5, I wasn't really sure what to do after queen. I'm sorry, not here, but after h4 here, knight f3, queen d7. I don't know. I guess this is bad for me. So yeah, that was the other option. But f4, ef4, bishop f4, and he finally castled, which was a relief, so I castled. And now he overextended with g5. And here my position got slightly pleasant. I went bishop e3 and he went knight g6. And this is, I think, psychologically the most important moment of my chess career so far. So I have 30 minutes left for the game. It's move 15, and I have to make 25 moves in 30 minutes. I think I'm worse. I'm not going to use the engine to check, but I think I'm worse. And I'm feeling horrible because I'm playing passive moves. I can't find the move, and I'm spending 20 minutes per move and playing nothing moves like queen e2 and waiting for him to castle. So here I literally shouted at myself in my head to stop playing like a coward and to play an active move. And I didn't want to play a passive move, so moves like rook f2 or something like that simply don't work. Eventually he could be threatening to play g4, so I found the only active move in the position, which is queen h5. And the idea behind queen h5 is knight f3 and bishop takes g5, threatening checkmate if he takes. So if he does nothing, knight f3, he does nothing, bishop g5. If he takes, it's game over. He cannot defend checkmate. So yeah, I don't know. So queen h5 was, I was happy to find it. He played queen d7, and now I played knight f3. His threat of so of course now I'm threatening bishop g5. One thing that I should point out, which I didn't see immediately, is that f5 cannot be played, not because it hangs the knight, which is easy to see, but after this bishop f7, queen f5, I can save my queen. And I'm not sure if he can trap it somehow, but I don't think so. So after knight to f3, his threat of g4 doesn't work because I can take, bishop takes, and queen h2. And after h5, I think I'm slightly better. But also after g4, I can just go knight h4, and I think that's close to winning for white, because if he takes, I take bishop h6, and I should be very good. But in this position, the move I was looking for him was simply playing rook to e8 and ignoring my threat. So if this happens, takes, he could probably just go f6. And I'm not sure what my follow-up is. Yeah, okay, or no, not f6 because I take the knight. That's stupid. Yeah, okay, no, that rook e8 is a stupid move. But anyway, he ended up playing knight f4, and after this, the position changes completely. And I was so happy. I had about 25 to 30 minutes on the clock, and I started to think that I can win this game. And after playing queen h5, I got excited and told myself, yes, okay, you are playing for the win. You're not defending against somebody, whoever. And my opponent's rating doesn't matter. I would have tried to do the same thing against the grandmaster as well. So here, of course, bishop f4, gf4, and now knight to e2. Note that he cannot take on b2 because I can interpose rook b1 and just take on f4. So here he played f5, which is a bad move because of e5. I think that there must have been something better, because here I don't see how he defends. I think he has long-term weaknesses which are very exploitable. He played bishop d5 and I took on f4. I took another 10 minutes to calculate all of this. So of course bishop takes, and if I take with the rook and bishop takes, I would have to take on h6 to prevent, so if I play a stupid move, okay, no, that's not a stupid move. If I play a stupid move like here, then he has queen to d4 check, which is annoying, and I would have to pin my rook, otherwise I lose the rook, and I wasn't sure about this. But I found a better variation. So queen f3, and after bishop takes pawn, which I think he shouldn't have taken. I think taking this is basically a poisoned pawn. I now have this move queen g3, and if he plays bishop g7, I play knight h5, and if rook f7, I can just take the bishop, and if rook takes knight f6 check, I win the queen back, and I just have a better position. And I win a pawn, and this should be clearly winning. And after queen g3 check, if he goes king h8, then I can win the bishop, so that doesn't work. And if he goes king h7, then I have this very annoying check on g6, and he has to go back, and I can win a pawn here. And yeah, if he tries this, I think it should be game over. Yeah, this should be just over. So he played queen to g7, which, yeah, as I think is the only move. So takes, bishop takes, and now I think I found the best move, knight e6. And after knight e6, he cannot take on b1 because of on b2 because of rook b1. And now if he plays bishop d4 check, I take, and take on b6. And if he plays after rook to b1, if he plays rook to f6, if he plays rook e8, then I play knight c7. If he plays rook f6, I just take, he takes, and now I would probably take the b pawn, but everything is hanging. So after knight e6, he basically has to move the rook, which after this and takes, and rook e1, white should have a significant advantage here. Here he played king g6, which I don't think was a good move because it locks his king out of the game, and his rooks are kind of disconnected. Rook b8, b3, and now my plan was, if he plays b5, I had several ideas, either rook e5, rook f4, or rook a1. I quickly discarded rook f4 and rook a1 because of the same reason, c4, and this is now unpleasant because I have to take either way, let's say dc4 and ba4, and takes here, and after rook to b4, this is definitely not better for me. The same thing happens if rook a1. But I found after b5 this move rook e5, and this stops all of his ideas because c4, now dc4, ba4, and ba4. If he goes rook b4, then I take on a5, and it's much better for me. But after b3, he didn't go for b5, which I thought was the most active. He played rook d6, and now rook f2 e1, king f6, and king f2. I don't have to go rook h7 immediately. I think h5, h4 to lock his king out, and now he's under a lot of pressure. And after rook g8, which he ended up playing, I think the position is dead lost for him because I have rook h7. His only move is king g6. If he plays rook to g4, then I have rook h6, winning the rook, unless he plays rook g6, and then I take on h5. So his only move was king g6, but now rook to b5, rook to b7, and here he went a bit crazy. I don't know why. I mean, his position is probably lost, but c4 just gives up a pawn. B takes c4, and now he played f4. I played rook e4. The idea behind f4 was good, provoking my rook to take the pawn, and after c5, rook f4, he played rook to e8, and now it's getting slightly uncomfortable. This is move 37. I'm playing with a couple of minutes, and I need to get to move 40, and this just became critical. This was, I remember I had 5 minutes. I was looking at the clock during this move, and if I make a mistake, it could be quite dangerous. For example, if I play rook f7, then simply rook e6, I think should suffice for him to give him a lot of counterplay. Remember, if I lose the a4 pawn, then the game is complicated. If I go the other rook to f7, then again I was looking at this, and I wasn't sure what happens I wasn't sure if I had enough. I definitely didn't want to allow rook e2 and him picking up my pawns. So I played a weird move, rook f3, and after rook d2 e6, this was my plan, rook g3 check, and I want to get my king here. So at least if he picks up my c2 pawn, I pick up the b pawn with check. King h6, which I thought was best, and now king g1, rook e1 check, king h2. And now rook to e6. This is move 41. And I got the additional half an hour. So now first I missed that rook h8 is not checkmate because he has king g6, which is horrible. He played rook b1 and I saw what I did. Then I played rook to g7 and I found a nice rook exchange. So if he'd played rook a1, I would have exchanged the rooks and won the b pawn. Since he played rook b1, I had a bit more time. Here he played rook b4, and now this was my idea. I want to he can go king f6 or king to e5. If he goes king f5, then no, sorry. Okay, okay, king f6. And in this position, I was looking at, of course, I was looking at rook f7 check and king e5 and rook takes pawn, but then king to d4 is very annoying, and I didn't know if this was clearly winning. So I found a better move, and this is why I played rook h7, rook g7 to rook h7, rook h6 check, and now he has to trade rooks. Remember, if he goes king f5 now, he loses a whole rook. So his only two options are king e5 and king takes rook. If king e5, I still take, and now I was planning to go b3. So if he takes here, I play rook g6 check and win the b pawn, and now there's no counterplay. But after rook h6, he took on g7 and rook takes rook, and now he took rook a4 immediately, which I think wasn't good. I think he should have kept the tension, because now after rook b6, it's easily convertible for me. I just keep my rook behind his pawn and make sure to keep my king on the two safe squares. So if I, for example, after d4, if he plays a2 and I play rook h3, then I lose. King h3, then I lose. But now I can just march my pawns forward, and this is rook and 3 pawns versus king. And here I played rook a7 to cut his king off from the last two ranks. He played king e6 and now c4, and there is no more defense. He is in Zugzwang, basically. The only two squares for his king, 3 squares, are these two squares, and once he advances somewhere here, I just queen my pawn. So he resigned after c4. Yeah, I was feeling horrible before queen h5, and then I played actively, and I'm so happy that I didn't play like a coward. I was feeling horrible for the first, until queen h5. I felt like a coward. I felt like I was defending and trying to find moves and just playing passively. And it ended up really well. Thank you for watching. As I said, you can find my prep, which was irrelevant, on Patreon. And see you tomorrow for round 3. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye.